this morning. That's all right. We're going to talk from the subject, hold on to hope. Friends and family, if you will, take a journey with me back into time just a little bit. I want to bring us back to about 11 years ago, right at this time, when hope was a buzzword that was buzzing all around our nation. At that time, 11 years ago, much of the nation was swept up in an election process that was bound to make history one way or the other. Once the weaker candidates, the political chaff, had fallen away, there emerged two candidates in the front of the Democratic field. Then Senator Barack Obama and then Senator Hillary Clinton. And behind Barack Obama was a central idea that undergirded his message, and that simple idea was hope. We saw the word hope plastered on billboards, affixed to placards, printed on t-shirts with the soon-to-be president's face. Hope echoed in the background of all of his messages, the way a sampled beat plays behind your favorite artist's sung or spoken lyrics. Hope was the rhetorical refrain in every speech that he gave. When thousands of people gathered to chant, "Yes, we can," they were chanting about hope. When millions of people voted for change we can believe in, we were voting for hope. And on that historic election night in 2008, when people packed into Grant Park in Chicago and around their television sets all around the nation, and we saw a single tear fall from Reverend Jesse Jackson's eye, and people around the country shed a tear along with him, we were crying because we dared to believe in that moment that we were not seeing just history unfold, but that we were seeing hope unfold before our eyes. And if you can remember this, my brothers and sisters, or if you can imagine what this must have been like, then you can imagine what it must have been for the people of Israel when they selected Saul to be the very first commander of their standing armies. Saul was the people's choice to be the protector in chief because Saul looked like a warrior. Scripture reports that Saul was taller than everyone, that he stood head and shoulders above everyone. He looked like he was stronger than everyone else. And after so many years of being invaded and occupied by foreign and hostile governments, only to have a charismatic leader emerge to deliver them and then step off the stage. Then to go into that cycle over and over again, now they had a permanent protector, somebody who was appointed to leadership for life, King Saul. And with this selection, my friends and family, came the hope of stability. With this selection came the hope of security. And with this selection came the hope of self-determination and sovereignty. But by the time we get to this text, by the time we get to the 17th chapter of 1 Samuel, that hope seems like a distant memory. For King Saul, my brothers and sisters, almost as soon as he entered into office, King Saul forgot that his rule was not designed to be autocratic. That he was not chosen to rule in a vacuum, but that he was supposed to share his power. That there were limits to what he could do. He was bound by the laws and the ethics that God had put into place. That he was bound, supposed to be in relationship with the prophet Samuel as the voice of God to the people, Saul thought that he, by taking office, could do whatever he wanted to, whenever he wanted to, however he wanted. But that was not the case. And so as Saul persisted in his own agenda, Saul persisted in his selfish ways, trying to find ways to enrich himself and enrich his family at the expense of the nation he was chosen to serve. The people began to lose hope. My brothers and sisters, they began to lose hope. The nation began to believe less and less in the promise and the power of King Saul. And all of that came to a tipping point. All of that came to a crisis moment when the Philistines emerged from the south and came up to challenge them there in their capital city of Jerusalem. And just outside the city, there loomed over this city one named Goliath of Gath. Goliath, who was taller than everyone that anybody had ever seen. Goliath, who came from the same region of the country where Samson was born. There was something about the water in that region. They just bred giants in that region. Goliath comes and he towers over everyone, even King Saul. And if you saw the Avengers Infinity Wars, if you've seen Endgame, don't spoil it because your pastor ain't seen it yet. But if you saw Infinity Wars and you saw the opening scene where the Avengers' mighty hero, the Incredible Hulk, the one who had beaten down every monster that had ever stepped foot from this planet or other planets, the one who was always ready to fight, the Incredible Hulk was beaten down by the villain Thanos. Beaten so bad that he began to experience PTSD for the rest of the movie and would not come back out to fight. And if you can imagine what the Avengers must have felt to see their greatest champion beaten into submission by Thanos, then you can imagine what the people felt as Goliath came and stood over the nation and challenged their greatest warrior to come and fight. Every day, Goliath stood out and said, there's no need for all of this bloodshed. Just send your best warrior. Send your strongest fighter. Send the defender of Israel to come out and fight me one-on-one. And we'll settle this fight. Whoever is the greatest fighter, their nation will rule, and the others will be their servants. Send your best fighter. And I imagine, my brothers and sisters, that the first time Goliath did this, the people were not that concerned. Because after all, they had selected Saul to be their protector-in-chief. And so they just knew in the bottom of their hearts that Saul would finally live up to at least a piece of the promise that he held when they selected him, that he would finally show up and do what he was appointed to do, that Saul would come swaggering out into the battlefield with his royal robes and set them aside and pick up a sword and spear and slay the Goliath and stop him from spewing these curses at the people and at their God. But after the first day, Saul is nowhere to be found. And here comes Goliath the second day. And maybe after the first day, people thought, well, maybe the king wasn't around. Maybe the king was out in a battle in another part of the country. Maybe the king just wasn't there. And so the king, now the king is on his way back. And the king is ready to fight. And so the second day they wait. And the third day, because after all, the king was down in Bethlehem where he liked to hang out sometimes. Then it takes a couple of days to get from Bethlehem to Jerusalem. So maybe it's just taking him a couple of days to get back. But after day 2, and day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7. When they realized that any part of the country that he would have gotten back by now. Day 8, day 9, day 10, day 11, day 12, day 13, day 14. And they realized that they could have sent somebody to go and get Saul and bring him back by now. Day 15, day 16, day 17, day 18. And the entire government has shut down now because the king refuses to come out of hiding. Day 18, day 19, day 20. And day after day, Goliath comes out to the front of the battle, saying all kinds of mean and hateful things about the people of Israel and about their God. And the Bible says that day after day, as Goliath said these things, the people began to lose hope. Any hope they had in salvation, any hope they had in deliverance, any hope they had in being able to win this fight began to disappear. My brothers and sisters, the thing is, because we know the end of the story, it is easy for us to judge these people who are losing hope. But I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that we ought not look down on them for losing hope. But the truth is, losing hope in this case may have been the most logical thing to do. Because the reality of the situation that they saw was there was a giant that they could not fight, a champion that they could not beat. And the one who was supposed to do it was hiding from them. Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, I wonder if we are not losing hope, if we are really paying attention to what is happening around us. When we have a government that has created such an alliance with a foreign and hostile dictator, that we have turned over essentially our electoral process and allowed a foreign nation to intervene and hack into and influence our elections, so that the people who are selected to be the elected representatives of the United States of America do not have their first allegiance to the United States, no matter what they say when they place their hands over their hearts and look at the flag, but their actions prove that their first allegiance, if not to themselves, is to a foreign nation. And so Russia, who has been an enemy of America for decades now, is allowed to extend the presence, their oppressive presence in their region, and benefit financially from their involvement in our nation, because our government turns a blind eye. My brothers and sisters, when we look at the fact that Congress, whose primary responsibility is to be a checks and balances, so that no president can go too far or too fast without the will of the American people, Congress, whose job is to represent people in districts all across the nation, who don't have a responsibility to the whole, but have responsibility to segments of people. Congress, whose job is to have that oversight, to create checks and balances, are sitting on their hands and twiddling their thumbs. Because those who are in the president's own party have abdicated their moral responsibility because they are too in love with and intoxicated by power. And those who are in the party of opposition are too worried about the blowback from the American people, too worried that if they challenge the sitting president too harshly, that maybe they might not get reelected. And they're too concerned about their own job security to do what is right for the people. And so they put out opinion polls trying to gauge the my brothers and sisters, and we see the giants that exist in our political landscape, it makes sense that we might start to lose hope. But, brothers and sisters, we don't even have to look to Washington, D.C. We can look right here in Cincinnati. Look right downtown on Plum Street. And look at the people that we have elected to be in leadership of this city of Cincinnati. The people that we have elected to be our voice to protect this city. And the people that we have elected are turning the keys of the city over as quickly as they can to moneyed interest and allowing developers to wreak havoc on the city. Forcing people out of their homes, forcing people out of places that they've lived for years and decades of their lives, moving people out of businesses, shutting people down in order to be able to make money. My brothers and sisters, we've seen this before. We've seen this before, and it happened in the 50s and 60s when they cleared out sections of the city to put the highway through. We've seen the devastation that happened before, and we thought we were past this. But now here it is emerging all over again, and people are being displaced, and people are wringing their hands. Our elected officials are wringing their hands and saying there's nothing we can do about this, while every week they make another vote to approve something else that the developer wants, while every week they make another vote to give something else to the developer, while they turn over our entire city, lock, stock, and barrel, when they wring their hands and say, well, there's nothing we can do about that. They're giants in our city political landscape, my brothers and sisters. They're giants everywhere we turn. Our economy is being beset by giants. As the president is trying to strip away the affordable health care that was put in by the previous administration, the best health care plan that we've seen in the United States, and the president is trying to strip that away and force millions of people off of health care to fend for themselves when health care costs are rising at astronomical rates and not in line with what people's wages are. So it's becoming impossible to afford reasonable health care anymore. Meanwhile, the people we elect to office who are voted on these health care plans have their own health care that is protected, that is paid for by your tax dollars and my tax dollars, but they're not voting to change their health care. They want to keep their health care that we are paying for, but don't want to give us health care. They're giants in our economic land, my brothers and sisters. But for many of us, we don't have to look to CNN or look on Channel 9 News. We don't have to look anywhere to see the giants, because we see giants in the communities that we live in. There are challenges in our communities that we seem unable to face. There are giants that exist in our family lives. We see family members who are struggling, unable to do what is necessary to get the help that they need, and they are beset by giants. Our family lives so often have giants in them. For some of us, my brothers and sisters, all we have to do is look in the mirror to see giants. And when we wake up in the morning, between the time that we wake up and the time that we get out of the house, there are already giants that are besetting our mind, our hearts, our spirits, my brothers and sisters. And sometimes we have to do so much fighting by the time we get out of the house that we're already exhausted before we step foot into anybody's job, into anybody's church, in anybody's space, my brothers and sisters. We're already exhausted because the giants in our own lives seem so large. And so when we seem to be set by giants, when it's not one giant that we're facing, but multiple giants, when it seems like we are in a land full of giants, how can we not begin to lose hope? It seems like it's the logical thing to do. But, my brothers and sisters, the good news of the biblical text is that God does not operate by logic. That God is not confined to the limits of logic. But that we can have hope, my brothers and sisters, even when it seems illogical, because the God we believe in is so much larger than logic. And so right here, my brothers and sisters, we see the beginning of hope as there is a shepherd boy named David, anybody's last choice for a champion. David was the kid that was picked last to play basketball in the playground. David was not just the youngest of his brothers, but he was the skinniest of his brothers. He was the smallest of his brothers. When they were at war and they were drafting everybody who could fight to go be at war, David was left home because he was seen as unfit to fight. He was left home to mind sheep when the country was at war because he seemed like he was not able to fight. David was anybody's last choice for a champion, my brothers and sisters. And the only reason that David is there at the battle scene is because his daddy sent David with lunch for his brothers. So David, come here. Leave those sheep out there on the, you see how much his dad cared about the sheep, that he let David leave the sheep alone. Leave the sheep alone. Come take this food that your mother prepared down to your brothers who are at the battle and bring it to them so they can have something to eat. And then come back and tell me how the battle is going. David does his job. He Uber eats the food down to the people who are at the battlefield, gives it to his brothers, and once he delivers the food to his brothers, he sees Goliath doing his daily ritual of walking out and threatening the people, challenging them to a fight. And David looks around and he says, who's going to fight this person? Nobody's looking around. Who's the one that's going to fight this one, everybody? So somebody tells the king there's somebody in the camp of soldiers who's talking about fighting Goliath. King Saul says, bring him to me. Now, this is what the general of the army is doing. The general of the army is not even with the troops, but he's hiding in the palace and brings the person to him and expecting to see one of his bravest and best warriors. Instead, he sees David. The fine arts kid, David, the musician, who comes and stands before him and says, I will fight this giant. Now, my brothers and sisters, all you need to know about Saul is that when the greatest giant threatened the land, he was willing to let little David go out and fight him. This is like if Ivan Drago's son in Creed 2 is out fighting, threatening the people, and we send Kirk Franklin out to fight him. This is all you need to know about Saul and his leadership, is that he lets David go out to fight. But David, my brothers and sisters, despite his lack of frame, has a warrior's heart. My brothers and sisters, and this is the first message of hope I want to give to you, my brothers and sisters, is that God is not looking at your resume. God is not looking at others' perceptions of your qualifications. God is not looking at whether or not other people approve of your gifts or of your leadership. God doesn't need you to have a certain height, to have a certain body type. God does not need you to fit into other people's standards of what leadership looks like. God only has one question, and that is about your heart. God wants to know, do you have a heart for the people? Do you have a warrior's heart? And if you have a heart, then God can choose you, my brothers and sisters. Even if everybody else overlooks you, God can still choose you because God sees the heart. When Samuel came to anoint the next king and looked at all of Jesse's sons, and Samuel was ready to anoint each and every one of them, God said, no, I haven't chosen them. I've chosen the little fine arts boy. I've chosen David because while you are looking out the outside, I see his heart. My brothers and sisters, I want you to know that while you are sitting here today, no matter what other people have said about you, no matter what other people have done to you, no matter who has not chosen you, who has overlooked you, who has written you off, God still chooses you because God sees your heart. So God sees David's heart. God chooses David, my brothers and sisters. And God chooses David because the truth of the matter is that the threat really isn't as big as it looked. Goliath was big in frame.
Well, I should.
But the threat wasn't as big as it looked, my brothers and sisters. Goliath was an imposing menace, but he was not as good of a fighter as he thought he was. Goliath had a glaring weakness. He could fight you if you fought his way. But he could only fight you if you fought his way. Goliath wasn't prepared for the fight that David was going to bring to him, my brothers and sisters, because the giant wasn't that big or that bad after all. And the fact is, the giants in our lives, my brothers and sisters, they are not as big as they look. If the United States government could be brought to its knees and change its racist policies because some church folk got together and prayed and decided to march, this government isn't as big as it looks. If an entire system of slavery could be undermined by one woman running back and forth in the middle of the night who was narcoleptic and could fall asleep at any given point in time, that system was not as bad as it looked. The giants, my brothers and sisters, in our lives, they have a lot of war, but they don't have that much fight. The giants aren't as big as they look, my brothers and sisters. The second reason that we can have hope, my brothers and sisters, is because our hope is not in institutional power. The people who were looking for Saul to be their champion had placed their hope in the wrong place, my brothers and sisters. But God often uses the weak to confound the strong, uses the small to confound the big, uses the foolishness to confound those who seem to be wise, my brothers and sisters. I hear the psalmist saying, "Shall I look to the hills from whence cometh my help?" Yes, sir. No, my help does not come from the hills, but my help cometh from the Lord who created the heavens and the earth. My brothers and sisters, we don't have to look to Pennsylvania Avenue for our hope. We do not have to look for Congress for our hope. We do not have to look for the Supreme Court for our hope. But our hope lies in God, and our hope is in one another, my brothers and sisters. And if we put our hope in God and join our hands together, that is more than enough to tackle the giants in our way. The hope did not come from the king, but it came from the hillside where there was a shepherd. They let the shepherd loose on the giant, my brothers and sisters. And the last thing, the last reason we can have hope, my brothers and sisters, is because we remember that hope is an essential part of our history. When Saul asks David why he thinks he can challenge this giant, David says, "Because I have a history with handling big obstacles. I may look like just a skinny fine arts kid, but when I was out there on the side of the hill tending my father's few little sheep, a lion came and tried to attack the sheep. And then a bear came and tried to attack the sheep. And I killed the lion and I killed the bear. And if God gave me the strength to kill the lion and the bear, I can take out this loud-mouthed Philistine." My brothers and sisters, what I want to say is that you've faced giants in your life before. The giants that we face right now are not the first giants you've seen, but you have faced giants in your life before, and I know that you've won because you're standing here today. I know that you've won those battles because you're here with us today, and if you've been able to face down the giants in your life before, then the giants we're facing now don't have anything coming. But not only that, my brothers and sisters, but historically, fall. We've seen, my brothers and sisters, somebody like Harriet Tubman go back and forth and free close to 1,000 slaves, my brothers and sisters, as she ran with the Bible in one hand and a shotgun in the other. My brothers and sisters, and we remember that while history celebrates Harriet Tubman, she did not do this alone. But there were people who made it possible for Harriet Tubman to be able to get back and forth. There were homeowners along stations in the Underground Railroad that opened up their homes to allow people to stay. People who looked like everybody else on the surface, who looked like they were just going along to get along on the surface, but they did not allow the comfort that they had attained to be only theirs, but they opened up their doors so somebody else could share in that comfort and hide there as they moved them along on the path towards freedom. We remember, my brothers and sisters, that while Harriet Tubman was running back and forth, that Harriet Tubman had people in her life who did the fabulous work that Ma Peaks and Ma Peaks' team does in our life. They made sure that Harriet had food to eat so that she could run back and forth and not pass out because of hunger, that people provided to make sure she had the strength she needed for the journey ahead. And it was all of those people coming together that made Harriet Tubman's name and story possible. We remember, my brothers and sisters, Martin Luther King Jr., and we remember the I Have the Dream speech in the sermon at Riverside, and we remember the March on Washington. We remember the March at Memphis, Tennessee. We remember the Montgomery bus boycott and the way that he spoke to the college students in North Carolina. We remember him doing work in Chicago and all the great things that King did, but it wasn't just King. It was the church people who came and worshiped and worked faithfully to support the work every day. It was the people who met week in and week out to plan and plot. It was the people who guided the movements in between time to make sure that the work happened. It was all the people who came together to make it possible. It was people who drove their cars to make sure that individuals who were working out in the suburbs could get to suburbs instead of taking the bus during the bus boycott. It was people making sure that they used the resources they had to make sure that people were able to get what they needed to get done while they were working towards freedom. My brothers and sisters, and the people coming together and working together were able to topple the giants. And if, my brothers and sisters, Harriet Tubman and the people working with her could topple the giant of slavery, and if Martin Luther King and the people working with him could topple the giant of segregation, my brothers and sisters, then what makes us think that we can't topple the giants we have in front of us today? Amen. But the same God that rescued us out of slavery and out of segregation, that same God can rescue us out of mass incarceration. That same God can rescue us out of gentrification. That same God can rescue us out of economic depravity. That same God can rescue us out of the mental and emotional anxiety that we wrestle with on a day-to-day basis. That same God is alive and able to work in and through us to deliver us, my brothers and sisters. And so I just want to leave you with this message. Hold on to your hope. No matter what it looks like, hold on to your hope. No matter how bad it feels, hold on to your hope, my brothers and sisters. Because if you hold on to your hope and you work just a little bit harder, God is able to do amazing things. The same God that has provided miracles in the past is able to do it again. All we got to do is hold on to our hope. We have a practice here at Beloved Community Church that we call response to the word. And it's our way of acknowledging that God does not just speak through me because I'm the one in the front of the room, but that even now, God is speaking to and wants to speak through each and every one of you. And so we take a moment and we say, God, what is it that you are saying to me right now? God, what is it that you are calling me to do? God, how are you challenging me to show up better? How are you inviting me to stand stronger? God, how does the message that has gone forth today intersect with my life? And friends and family, as you hear God